The owl who stayed silent too long. In a forest where every whisper carried meaning and every voice had power, there lived a creature who saw everything, yet said nothing. This is the story of the owl who knew the truth, but waited too long to speak. And by the time he did, silence had already changed everything. High in the ancient oak tree, older than memory itself, lived Orion the owl. Orion was known as the wisest creature in the forest. His golden eyes missed nothing. By night, he watched every movement, the rustle of leaves, the shift of shadows, the quiet secrets others overlooked. The animals respected him. They often said, "If Orion speaks, we must listen." But Orion rarely spoke, not because he didn't know what to say, but because he believed silence was safer. Words can cause trouble, he often thought. Better to observe than interfere. So he watched and stayed silent. The forest was once peaceful. Deer grazed calmly, rabbits played freely, and even predators hunted only when necessary. But slowly, things began to change. The foxes started accusing the wolves of stealing their food. The wolves blamed the badgers. The badgers blamed the birds. Rumors spread like wildfire. I heard the wolves are planning something. The foxes are hiding food. The birds are spying on everyone. Suspicion grew. Trust faded. And Orion saw it all. He knew the truth, that these were misunderstandings, small events twisted into dangerous lies. He could have spoken. He could have stopped it. But he didn't. Someone else will fix this, he told himself. One evening, Orion saw something important. A young fox had taken food, but not from the wolves. It was left over from a hunter's trap. But when the wolves discovered the missing food, they blamed the foxes immediately. Tension rose. Voices grew louder. The forest gathered, waiting for answers. Orion sat silently above them. I should say something, he thought. But doubt crept in. What if they don't believe me? What if I make things worse? So he stayed quiet. That night, the wolves attacked the foxes, and the forest was never the same again. Days passed. The peace was gone. Animals no longer trusted one another. Every sound became a threat. Every shadow felt dangerous. Orion watched the fear spread like darkness across the forest. And for the first time, his silence felt heavy. I knew the truth, he whispered to himself. But I said nothing. Still, he remained quiet, because now speaking felt harder than ever. One day, the animals gathered once more. This time, it wasn't for peace, it was for blame. Arguments erupted. You started this. No, you did. We can't trust anyone anymore. Orion sat above them again. His heart pounded. He knew the truth behind many of their conflicts. He had seen the misunderstandings. He had watched the lies grow. And now, everything was breaking apart. Say something, a voice inside emerged. But fear answered louder. It's too late. So once again, he said nothing. The forest divided into groups. The wolves stayed to the north. The foxes moved west. The deer hid deep in the east. No one trusted anyone. No one listened. And slowly, the forest lost its harmony. Food became scarce because animals no longer cooperated. Danger increased because warnings were ignored. Even the birds stopped singing. The forest, once full of life, grew quiet. But not the peaceful kind of quiet. A broken silence. And Orion felt it most of all. One stormy night, lightning struck the forest. A fire began. At first it was small, manageable, preventable. Orion saw it immediately. If he warned the animals quickly, they could work together to stop it. But something stopped him. What if they don't listen? What if they ignore me? What if? The fire grew. It spread faster than expected. By the time the animals noticed, it was too late. Chaos erupted. Animals ran in every direction. But without trust, there was no coordination, no unity, no plan. The fire consumed everything in its path, and Orion could only watch. After the fire, the forest was unrecognizable. Burned trees, silent skies, empty homes. The animals who survived were scattered, exhausted, and broken. Orion remained in the charred remains of his oak tree. Alone. I could have stopped this, he said, his voice trembling. If I had spoken sooner, if I had told the truth, if I had been brave. Tears filled his eyes, but no one was there to hear his regret, because silence had already taken everything. Days later, a few animals slowly returned. A deer, a rabbit, a fox, even a wolf. They didn't trust each other, but they had nowhere else to go. They began rebuilding cautiously. Orion watched them, and this time, something inside him changed. When a misunderstanding began again, small but familiar, he didn't stay silent. He flew down. For the first time in a long time, he spoke. "Stop," he said firmly. The animals froze. "I saw what happened," Orion continued. "This is not what you think." They listened, because despite everything, his voice still carried weight. He explained the truth, and this time, the conflict ended before it began. From that day on, Orion no longer stayed silent. He spoke when it mattered, not loudly, not constantly, but truthfully, bravely, and slowly, the forest began to heal. Trust returned, little by little. Animals started working together again. The birds sang once more, and the forest began to live again. But Orion never forgot what silence had cost. Powerful outro. Silence can feel safe. It can feel easy. It can feel like the right choice in a moment of fear or doubt. But sometimes silence is the loudest mistake we make. Because when truth is needed, when something is wrong, when your voice can make a difference, staying quiet doesn't protect the world. It breaks it. The owl learned this the hard way. The question is, will you? Speak up when it matters, because silence at the wrong time can cost more than words ever will. See you in the next video.